Hi, everybody, and welcome along. Welcome to Meet Your Trading Experts live and free. It's great to have your company. Looks like we are live on YouTube. My guest today is Chloe. Welcome, Chloe.
Hello, Paul.
How are things, Chloe? How are you doing being a
Yeah,
mum?
not bad, not bad. Shall do you want to see my face?
Yeah, come on, Chloe. Be bold. Let's jump on camera, eh?
Here I am.
Hey, Chloe. How is being a mum, Chloe?
It's brilliant. It's hard work. It's really hard work, but it is probably the most rewarding hard work you could possibly do.
I think no one's ever going
It's great.
to argue with those two things, Chloe. I think, the truth is that, as you know, mine are nearly 2 and nearly 4, and it remains pretty consistently hard work throughout, I think, is the truth. But boy, it's rewarding, isn't it? I guess we're going to talk a little bit today about your journey into trading, and then what you were doing, how motherhood's affected that, and coming back into trading again as we go through the hour. I think one of the things that I'd like to do, I mean, obviously our long-term clients are in the room watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. I didn't actually know you could live stream to Twitter. Well, people watch us on Twitter all the time. It quite surprises me. The long-term people know who you are. But for the newer people, the people who've joined us in the time you've been away, what can you tell us about what you were doing before you got into Forex trading? Tell us a bit about pre-trading Chloe.
Pre-trading Chloe. So I originally did a degree in biology. So I'm a scientist originally by training. And I worked for a pharmaceutical company. I was doing cancer research for a pharmaceutical company just outside of London. So that's what I was doing. It was just a regular, 9 to 5 job.
Hold on. That was in Slough?
Sorry?
Was that in Slough?
It was, yeah.
A long time ago, isn't it? So when you say it was a regular job, you were searching for a cure for cancer, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah, okay. So yeah, in terms of a regular job, it was pretty rewarding in itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to, I guess you have to be in the industry to know how it all works. When you say to people, oh, I do cancer research, people are like, oh, wow, that must be so rewarding. But actually, the process is so tedious, I suppose, and there is so much work that goes into finding a cure for cancer, and not all of that work is fruitful. So you can end up working for 5 years on something only for it to fall at the last hurdle, or even sometimes the first hurdle. And so yes, it again, hard work, rewarding in some ways, but quite frustrating as well.
How long have we known each other, Chloe?
I believe we have known each other almost 11 years, Paul.
Wow, hard to believe two people as young as us could have
I
done that,
know.
Chloe.
How did that happen?
It's a constant surprise to me.
We've been time traveling.
So here you are, you're a scientist working in Slough, you're trying to find, you're working on a project towards a cure for cancer, and all of a sudden something turns up and you think, I might give trading a bit of a go. How did that happen?
Oh, well, basically, I mean, I was working for this pharmaceutical company for 7 years. Started off brilliant, as a lot of jobs do, first job out of university. But in the end, it just got to the point where I was driving to work. The commute from London to Slough isn't, the most picturesque or enjoyable commute. Driving to work, getting in, sitting at my desk, going up to the lab, doing a bit of lab work, sitting at my desk, waiting for the end of the day, driving home, getting home, with the commute, getting home sometimes 7, half 7, having dinner, watching telly, going to bed, and starting all over again. And it just got to the point where I was just robotically doing this job, but not really loving it in the end. My company, the company that I was working for, sold off its cancer research department. So I ended up working on other diseases, and no disrespect, or all diseases are terrible things, and obviously finding a cure for any affliction is a fantastic thing to do, but my heart just wasn't in it anymore. I was getting bored. And it just got to the point where I was dreading going to work every day. So I was really looking, at first I was thinking about looking for a new job actually, but more and more I started to realize that actually what I really wanted was to be able to work from home for a start, and to be able to earn a bigger income with fewer hours. Not to sound lazy, I'm not a lazy person, but I've got so many hobbies and loves and interests that I wanted to pursue, which I just wasn't able to find the time to do with a full-time job. Living in London is not cheap, and I didn't find that my salary was making ends meet. So I was just looking for something else, but ideally I wanted something with more flexibility. And so when I suddenly came across trading, I thought, maybe this is it, maybe this is it. I had a friend of a friend who made a lot of money trading. And that friend made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. And so I could see that there was something in it. I could see the potential. And obviously he wasn't necessarily going about it the right way, but I thought if I can find the right way to do it, then maybe this is it for me. Maybe this is the thing that I've been looking for. So that's how it all started, really.
What can you tell us about the hobbies? What are the hobbies that you had?
The hobbies. So two main hobbies. One of them is art and design, so specifically furniture design, not like kind of flat pack chairs and tables, but more sculptural one-off pieces. So basically, pretty much as soon as I left my job, I started on that once I'd built up enough of a pot with trading to be able to kind of fund that without too much worry. And then the other main love is music. So I was running music events, helping new, unsigned, undiscovered artists get into the music industry.
That's
So
pretty
those
cool,
were the
wasn't it?
two things I was keen to do more of in my spare time.
Fantastic. So you had a friend who was trading, who was making and losing money quite quickly at different times. So looked really good, and he was a bit quiet. And you thought you might give this a try. So how did it actually come along? You got an opportunity to do it.
Oh, well, I saw a course online advertised, and I thought, okay, well, let me learn a bit about it. And if I enjoy the course, then I'll see if I can learn more and more and more, basically. So I did an initial course, enjoyed it, wanted to learn more, forked out a huge amount of money for more and more courses, eventually to the point of meeting you, Paul. And so yeah, it was a long journey, I would say. It wasn't just a case of deciding to be a trader and then handing in my notice and becoming a trader. There was a lot of hard work that went into it. I was working full time at the same time as kind of studying, self-study, teaching, doing courses, all of that kind of stuff, and trading in the background. So I didn't sleep an awful lot. I thought back then I didn't sleep an awful lot. Now I actually realize what sleepless nights really are.
Look,
Um,
I've got to say, Claire, they were good times, right? On Chelsea Harbour, looking to do a bit of trading, good team around. You had a really good coach back in those days where they weren't all really good coaches. I thought the guy that looked after you where we were was exceptional, nice guy and good man, man. And taught you some very detailed, specific ways of training that I think still underpin a lot of the stuff you do. And it was took a while, but it was good time. We did all kind of enjoy it, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We had a good time, and that's part of it as well, Paul. Is you've got to enjoy what you do. I mean, essentially, what we do as traders is look at charts and press buttons on the computer. That's all. That's all it is. It's not. It's not rocket science, nor is it particularly kind of enjoyable in itself in its own action. But I think the enjoyment is in. Partly in the people that you meet along the way and the camaraderie, and partly in kind of discovering new things all the time. I've always been my background as a scientist, I'm always looking for ways to tweak things to make it better, things like that. And with trading, there's always opportunity to make things better. There's always opportunity to learn. There's always opportunity to improve. And I suppose that's one of the things I was lacking in my previous job. I was feeling a little bit like I was stagnating. I wasn't really pushing myself. I wasn't really motivated to push myself, and I wasn't really continuing to learn on the same trajectory as I was when I was a beginner. Whereas with trading, that it's a never-ending journey if you want it to be.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But I remember when we used to go tramping and climbing up mountains when I was younger. I think trading's a lot like that. That sometimes walking up a mountain and climbing up a mountain is quite good fun, and sometimes walking up a mountain and climbing up a mountain is absolutely terrible. Where really you are a bit concerned about what's going on and a bit tired and looking down and going, jeepers creepers. But getting to the top of a mountain or getting to the top of a tramp and getting to the top of, and I wasn't a big mountain climber, we were basically doing tramps in the wild in New Zealand. Getting to the top's amazing. And training's a bit like that, where sometimes the journey's fun and sometimes the journey sucks. But every time you get to a level and you go, shit, look what I've just done. That's pretty cool, right? That is pretty. I wonder if YouTube's going to ban me now for swearing. I'm sorry for that. It is kind of cool when you achieve it, right? It's a great feeling when you succeed, right?
It is. It really is. Yeah.
So why did you join Actions 12?
That's a good question, Paul. I have been with Actions 12, I believe, since pretty much the beginning. I remember when you left London and moved over to Singapore, and we always stayed in touch, and I just kind of fell into it, I guess. But aside from that, why did I join? I saw an opportunity to both continue to learn, because at that time I'd only actually been trading. So I joined Actions 12 in 2012, I believe. So I'd only been trading about a year and a half at that point. So I was by no means an expert trader. I was good at what I was doing, but I was by no means an expert trader. So I saw an opportunity to continue to learn and continue to improve my own skills as a trader at the same time as starting to help others who wanted to kind of learn to tread in the same footsteps, hopefully dissuade people from making some of the same mistakes I made along the way, and that kind of thing. So yeah, a little bit of both, a little bit of wanting it for my own improvement and my own development, and a little bit of really at that point wanting to give back and help others to learn to trade as well.
That in those days would have been you and Jeff, wouldn't it? I started Actions 12 with Roy, but you and Jeff would have been the first two to join us, sort of helping us out along the way, right? Gosh, that seems a fairly long time ago. I remember a few dinners around the world with you, Jeff, and my wife, and we certainly enjoyed that part as well. It was nice to see you guys and to see the trading success and to plot out how we were going to conquer the world at that stage. I think we were all a bit more, a bit more interested in creating a big company. Whereas these days we're a bit more interested in creating a good company. And it does sort of, as you get older, you do sort of change the thing a little bit. So you've been with us about 9 years, is that right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. And wow. I think the other thing is, Paul, as you say, the camaraderie between us all. It's as a trade. I spent pretty much my whole working life pre-trading wanting to work from home. For some reason, I just always wanted. I didn't like the commute. I didn't like having to work for someone else. I wanted to be my own boss. And I remember the day it happened. I remember handing my notice, working out my month's notice, being really excited. And so I left work on a Friday for the last time. And then on the Monday morning, I turned on my computer, which at that time I was living in a flat in Marylebone, and my computer was in my bedroom. And I remember sitting at my desk in my bedroom, turned on the computer, stared at the screen, and I just started crying. I was just like, what the hell am I doing? I've gone from being an expert at a job, cancer research, saving the world, to staring at a computer in my bedroom with no one to talk to, no one to help me, no one to have lunch with, no one to. It was a real shock. And that is another reason for joining Actions 12, Paul, is I know we're all over the world, and it wasn't quite the same as having someone, in the room with me. I don't work in an office with lots of actions to wealth traders around me. I still work from home, but just being able to tune in every day and check in every day with either yourself or with Jeff, or later down the line as the teams got bigger, even just having an hour a day online with Ash and hearing him, crack jokes and that kind of thing, it cheers up the day, and it makes it much more manageable, because it can be really tough, working from home, working on your own. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to say that my life has been an absolute bed of roses since I became a full-time trader. It definitely hasn't, but those bumps in the road can definitely be helped by having people around to pick you up when you're feeling low, or when your trading's not going the way you want it to, and those kind of things. So that is definitely 100% the thing that has kept me trading to this day. I would have quit a long time ago had it not been for the camaraderie, friendship, help, information, all of those things that I've had from Actions to Wealth and from the senior traders at Actions to Wealth.
Cool, Chloe. Look, if you guys, if you're on the Zoom, or if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you have any questions for Chloe, put them in the questions box, and Maya will monitor all that stuff and let us know, and we will answer to get those questions answered for you. Look, it's one of the things, Chloe, that we need to find a way to recreate, and we've got this great community inside our trading team. Then we've got our students, and we've got the situation with students where every time we try and put them into bigger groups, people try and hijack the groups and sell them stuff that's not ours, and then guys lose money. We've got to pay for it because they start doing stuff that's not ours. And someone joined them from one of our programs into a group without us knowing. They teach them stuff that's crap, or they share them stuff that's crap, and then people think it's our fault. So what we haven't managed to do is create these little communities inside our community that can help guys to come better. And I think that's one of the work-ons at the moment, as we work through different things in the business. I think in the next few months, we need to find a way to allow people to have small groups where they do get some support and some help, without allowing these big groups to get set up, which just seem to get hijacked by egomaniacs, selling all kinds of stuff in there and leaving us to pick up the pieces each time. So if we could do that, if we could find a way to find that camaraderie and do it in a small group way. One of the things that I really like, Chloe, when you talk about it, you have a chat with Ash and you have a laugh, and 5 minutes later you're just thinking, wow, where did that come from? There's always a bit of genius tied in, isn't there? You talk to Ash, talk to Lloyd, you talk to yourself, and there's always a bit of fun, a bit of humor, and a bit of storytelling, but there's always a bit of trading knowledge that comes out of it where you think, wow, these guys are, sometimes it's easy to forget when you work with them just how good these guys really are. They are, we're very, very lucky to have them and continue having them wanting to give back. At the moment, to have Julian as we have him at the moment, having and making the time to run the professional traders program, where you get to sit down with him every week in a small group and talk trading. I mean, that's a 30-year veteran who's made billions of dollars around the world, and boy, that's not something that was available to us for all the money you paid. That we didn't really have that available when we started, right?
Yeah, it would have been a different story if we had, wouldn't it?
Look, I've got a couple of questions coming in, a few hellos. Hey, Lewis. Chloe will remember Lewis. Hi, so nice to see you as well. Hey, Paul, good to see everyone. We really need friends like what Chloe mentioned. We'll do that. Chloe, what drive you to quit the job and to be a full-time trader? For me, it's a big turnover in life because we need to deal with our daily commitments and liabilities. It is a big, look, it's one of those things. I think we should be really, really clear with this right then. It's a leap of faith, and it's a leap of faith when it comes to leaving a job. You need to be very, very well set up. I've just been having a chat with John in Essex. I think you know him, Chloe. Lives up by Andy, and worked on Andy's trade for a little while. Yeah, he's just retired. He's looking to trade now instead of as a hobby for an income, and it is a big step, and it is a big psychological step, right?
It certainly is. Yeah, I did not anticipate, in fact, or expect it to be such a big psychological step. That's where I struggled most at the beginning when I went, on the Friday from being a research scientist to on the Monday being a full-time trader. That psychologically really, really had an impact. And actually, it probably took me another 6 months, having been profitable. I was trading profitably before I quit my job, because obviously you do not want to cut off your income before you have proven results. But then I had 6 months of negative trading. I had 6 months where I didn't make a penny from trading, and that was purely psychological, because I had gone from trading being a hobby, if you like. I suppose, I mean, I didn't treat it like a hobby. I really did treat it seriously, but my income was coming from somewhere else. So if I lost money trading, it didn't matter to me, because that next month I'd get paid, I'd refill my account, didn't matter. And I did that countless times at the beginning, refilling my account. When you quit your job and trading becomes your income, you have to make money from that. That is a whole other ball game psychologically. And if you're not ready for that, it can be very, 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 very difficult. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't anticipate. I just thought, well, I'm a scientist, I'm clever, I can do it. I'll just get on with it. I didn't realize the psychological impact it would have on me, and how difficult that side of things would be. So it took me a while, actually, after I quit, to become profitable again.
In truth, Chloe, I think most people who do trading education do it for very altruistic reasons, and they really have the desire to help other people. But part of it as well is that if you can make even a small amount of money from education, it's reliable income. And that while you're learning to trade and you're learning to live off it, having just a little bit of money coming in each month to cover the rent just takes a bit of pressure off you day to day, right?
It does, yeah, it does. Anything you can have, any area that you can take pressure off is a good thing, because trading can be a very stressful thing to do at times. So any area you can take pressure off, whether that's taking pressure off financially, taking pressure off time-wise, taking pressure off, in terms of what your family's up to around you, things like that. Any way you can take pressure off, definitely do that.
Got a question from Lewis. Chloe, how do you handle people's comments on being a trader, especially for a female?
People's comments on being a trader as a
I'm taking
female.
that Lewis thing. Sometimes we get negative comments because of what we do, and it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. What are your thoughts on it?
Do you know, I haven't had that many negative comments. The negative comment that I had that has stuck to me to this day was from my grandfather, actually. My grandfather was a man who was always very, very, very proud of all of his grandchildren, but didn't necessarily let them know in the most straightforward way. So when I was a research scientist, I was a biologist, and he used to tell me, oh yes, well, biology isn't really a proper science. What your cousin's doing, she's at Oxford doing particle physics, and that's really proper science. And he always had a way of kind of, I guess, playing us off against each other.
Yeah, that
And
generation had a way of doing some things that
yeah,
society wouldn't like these days particularly much, right?
yeah. But I think really he was very proud of me being a scientist and being a research scientist curing cancer. And I think he used to say to my other cousins, oh, that your cousin Chloe, she's curing cancer, that's real science. And so he kind of played us off against each other. But when I finally quit being a scientist to be a trader, he said to me, well, you're making money, but you're not making much else. And for some reason that cut quite deep, because I thought, am I a very selfish person to have quit cancer research just to make money for myself? And I suppose in one way, yes, some people might be trading just to make money for themselves, to buy themselves, a fancy car and nice shoes and whatever. My reasons for trading go beyond that, and that's why I don't take negative comments to heart particularly. If someone says, well, you're making money but not much else, I just think, well, you've got no idea of my background, you've got no idea of my personality or my ambitions, what I'm going to use this money for. So yeah, for me, trading, as well as it being my career and something that I do love to do, it is a means to an end. At the end of the day, I'm not just making money because I want to sit on a pile of money. I'm making it so that I can improve my life. One of the reasons as well that I first started is because I always wanted to have a family of my own, and I always wanted to be able to spend time with that family, and that's invaluable. It doesn't matter who judges me for being a trader. I know that by being a trader, I can now spend more time with my son than I ever would have been able to do if I had had some other kind of full-time job.
Yeah, I
And
think
that is, what more reason could you possibly need than that?
yeah, I think it's really interesting, Chloe. I think people sometimes forget that, adding liquidity into financial markets is a pretty important job, and that's why trading's allowed. It's allowed because what we do is we smooth out financial markets by making sure there's always someone on both sides of any financial deal. And I remember my nephew one day telling me that he thought trading would be made illegal soon, and and that it wasn't a great thing, and he'd just been on TV doing some environmental thing. He was about 16, 17 at the time, and 2 or 3 years later, he was working for his uncle's bank in Australia, doing a little bit of trading. He seemed just fine with it, and I do think that it's like anything. I don't think it actually matters what you do in the world. This is how I deal with it anyway, Lewis. I've been lucky enough to be involved with lots of things that have gone reasonably well. As you guys know, I've coached some international sport in the minority sport. I spent a lot of time there. The sports centres that I ran in New Zealand before that were, by New Zealand standards, very successful. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always somebody. In fact, this is one of the things that I go by in life, right? Really, if you're not pissing somebody off, if somebody doesn't have a negative thing to say about you, you probably aren't really living life as full as you could live it. So, look, no one loves it, and I can't say I love it, but at the same time, I do feel at times as if, whatever, guys. If the negatives can be, haters are going to hate. Let's get on with our lives and leave them to the hating, and let's try to do something better.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah.
It's they should pay cancer. It's a so Crystal just said people can go cure their own cancer. Whilst watching billionaire footballers, they should pay cancer scientists better. And look, I think it's one of the things that sometimes during things like COVID, there are real heroes on the planet that haven't made it because they expose themselves to COVID trying to heal people, and they were doing that for 30 grand while footballers are earning millions a week for kicking the ball around, and somehow some of the value and some of the stuff is a bit skewed. But again, I don't think we can cure the world or fix the world. What we can do is trade, and little things that we do I really like. I don't get too far into it, but when we put the earthquake-proof school up in Nepal, and we taught those guys how to, I paid to have some guys in Nepal equipped and taught how to build an earthquake-proof school, so that next time there's an earthquake in Nepal, that the schools they build won't come down. And that Nepal earthquake, there was 1,200 schoolrooms fell down on a Saturday. It was the only day that schools weren't open in Nepal. So if that had been any other day of the week, the fatality toll there would have been horrendous. And being able to create or help create earthquake-proof schools in Nepal, that's cool. And what you do with your money is your own business, but you can certainly do some good things with your money along the way. I don't think that every trader, not every trader takes their money and uses it for bad things. Lots of people use it for really, really good things. I know Roy was always very keen on making sure that money went to good places. We're a bit off track. What was I going to ask you? What's the best thing about being the ATW trading team?
Again, I mean, I've said it over and over, but for starters, I don't think it's easy to pick one best thing, because there are many best things about being on the ATW trading team. I would say the camaraderie, the friendships that we've built over the years. Friendships are invaluable to anyone, I believe. The wealth of knowledge in the team. I'm a full-time trader. I'm an expert trend trader, but I'm by no means an expert on everything to do with trading. And there is always something more to learn. Everyone in the team is a specialist in their own little field or their own little part of trading. And there's always opportunity to learn something. And even if it's something that you don't necessarily directly take, you know, I might not, for example, trade Jeff's strategy, but there will always be some little gem that you pick up from him, whether it's from listening to Trader Talk Radio, whether it's from listening to his YouTube shows, whether it's from the hanging out with him over dinner at the Bali Trading Retreat, whatever it might be. That there's very often a gem from someone on the team regularly that can be useful, even though you are, you know, you may have been set in your ways for a while. I've been trading the same strategy for many years now, but there are always things that can help. Always more to learn. Someone's tested out a new indicator that might be helpful for your strategy, or someone's realized that a certain type of bar is really good as a trigger bar for a type of strategy, or there's always something that is there to be learned. And that's another amazing thing about being in the ATW trading team, is the availability of all the expert traders for us all to learn from each other. It's just never ending, the amount that we learn from each other all the time.
Yeah, I love how some of this stuff comes through at the moment. You know, there's a lot of interest in engulfing bars. You know, we got that from Andrew and Linko, who both have talked, you know, okay, and this stuff, you know, that they share this openly with us, and we share it with you guys, that, you know, the role of engulfing bar and trending strategies at the moment is pretty interesting to me. Done some really interesting back testing on it recently, and as this stuff sort of flows through, it can be shared to make everyone better. And that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? At the end of the day, what we want is, the other day, for the first time ever, retail traders became the highest volume in the Forex market. It happened about a week ago. All these Robin Hood boys out of America have actually provided more. There's more volume going into Forex markets from retail traders than some institutions at this point. And you know, what we need to do is we need to get the retail traders making as much money as the institutions, and that requires some knowledge sharing, because that's what they do to some degree, you know. Okay, so what kind of trader are you? What do you do when you trade? What's your approach?
So I'm a trend trader. I trade almost exclusively in the direction of the major trend. I just figure, oh, I think we've lost Paul. Am I still on?
I'll be back in a sec, Chloe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just off camera for a sec.
Okay, no problems. So I trade almost exclusively in the direction of a major trend. I just figure that is where the easiest money to make is. So I'm not going to lie, I have sometimes been sidetracked and looked at other people's trading and other people making money in different directions and thinking, oh, I quite fancy piggybacking on that and making a bit of money there. But I've always come back to being a trend trader. And that is my primary thing that I do, trend trading.
It was interesting, isn't it, how as you know, I try really hard not to read trading books, because every time I read a trading book, I think that's amazing, and then I do it for 3 weeks.
I thought you were going to say every time I read a trading book, I fall asleep. That's what happens to me.
That was trading in the zone. I fell asleep a lot of times reading that book. But no, I see this stuff and I think, wow, look at that. That's awesome. I'm going to do that. And 3 weeks later, I think I am never going to change my approach again.
Yeah.
You know, and you can take, it was interesting, we're talking about this thing with the indicator on Wave Rider, the trend thing, that, you know, super trend's great, weekly pivot's great, put them together, not so great. And it's really interesting how, which for those that missed, it's part of the new Wave Rider stuff we did last weekend, the weekend before last weekend, Easter Saturday. But, you know, good and good in trading often equals bad, right?
Yes. Yeah. There can be, there are so many brilliant indicators out there that can work, you know, they're there for a reason. But if you apply them in the wrong context, then it can be disastrous. So yeah, definitely good and good doesn't necessarily equal better. Everything has to be in context.
How did you find your approach? How did you find the thing that works for you? It's one of the things for everybody, right? They've got to find their way. How did you find your way?
Yeah, so when I first started trading, I traded everything. I traded daily charts, I traded 1 minute charts, I traded counter trend, I traded with the trend, I traded various different strategies. I traded reversion to the mean, I traded breakouts. I really did try everything, and I suppose that's perhaps my way of learning. I don't know whether everyone's the same. I'm sure everyone's different, but my way of learning, I need to try everything before I settle on one thing. You know, that otherwise there's a kind of FOMO, fear of missing out, or what have I, well, I haven't tried that yet, and that might have been better than what I'm doing now, or whatever. So I had to get it all out of my system. Tried trading different markets, the FTSE, the Forex, stocks, etc. And after trying lots of things for probably about 6 months, I tried everything. And I gradually got a feel for what made sense to me. I'm a pretty visual person. And so when I look at charts, I see things in a certain way. And there was a specific style of trading that fitted in with how I was seeing the charts and what was making sense to me. And that more and more was trend trading. And it was only when I stopped trading everything else and started focusing on trend trading that I started to even break even on my trading account. And from that point, it was when I focused on a specific time frame that I began to kind of hone and refine what I was doing and become more successful at that. So I tried everything, and I just one day thought, do you know what? This is beginning to click. This little part of it, I've tried all of this, but this little part is beginning to click. And if I can focus on that and build on that, then I'm probably onto something. So that's how it all started for me.
I'm really keen to talk to you a little bit about the time frame, but there's something else I'd like to talk to you about in here. You know, you talk about looking at a chart and being quite visual. Look, a lot of people who can trade and who are good at trading aren't necessarily great market technicians. But when I say that, they're not great at reading. I mean, they can read a chart clearly. They're good traders, but they're not great at reading charts. And I would have thought you were one of the better market technicians I've ever seen. Why? How do you become as knowledgeable on charts as you are?
I have to say, it is partly spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours just looking at them. That's what it is for me. As I said, I'm a visual person, and so the more charts that I look at, the more I feel I understand what's going on. And you start to see repeating patterns, whether that is on certain timeframes or on certain instruments, certain currency pairs. And you can start to build a picture of how an instrument behaves, how a currency behaves in terms of what it looks like on a chart. And once you can do that, then you can start to anticipate and predict what the most probable outcome of a move might be.
Yeah, look, it's one of the things when I talk to Paul Hutton, and we'll have him on the show at some stage in the next few weeks, I imagine. PH talks a lot about the same sort of thing about how long he's been looking at charts, but I really love it when you're watching PH and yourself to analysis, and I'll watch price come to a level and I'll think it's going to bounce there, and you guys will say it's not going to bounce at this level, it's going to go to the next one, and I'm often looking at you guys thinking, how do they know that? And how they're so consistently able to go, well, this level is not going to hold and this level is going to be able to hold, and it certainly is a decent skill. From Hanan, do you think your previous job helped to understand charts more easily? Look, so you're a scientist. It's detail orientated. Does that help you to get the detail on the charts?
I honestly can't say, Paul, because I have never been anything other than a scientist. So I don't know whether I would still be as detailed. I think I would. I think it's more a personality thing than a job thing or a training thing for me. I've got a very detailed personality. I'm very obsessive, a bit of a control freak. I think that has more impact and influence on how I trade than my previous job training. Not to say that that hasn't perhaps helped me pay attention to detail, but I think I pay attention to detail more because of my personality than my training. And certainly I'd actually say when I first started trading, I kind of went into it with a bit of an ego, I have to say. And I thought, I looked around the room of the course that I was in, and I thought, well, if anyone can do it, I can, because I've got a science degree from Imperial College London. So I'm cleverer than the majority of people in this room, possibly, without even knowing most of them. But I just thought I'm cleverer than a lot of people. I'm definitely going to be able to do this really, really well. And I actually found that it just wasn't the case. It just wasn't the case. I've gone through my whole life getting to where I want to be by being clever, and trading, I couldn't apply that. I couldn't apply my intellect and turn that into being a successful trader. There was something else that was needed to be a successful trader, and it was nothing to do with being clever. And in fact, I know traders who are good traders who are, not scientists, and not people who've come from very, very super educated backgrounds. And actually, I'd say they're probably better traders than me. So yeah, I don't think it has helped me that much, Paul.
Look, it's one of those things, Chloe, where when you're working with traders and helping traders and coaching traders, if you like, mentoring people. One of the things that I really understand or believe really strongly is that there's two parts to trading, and most people are good at one half of it. Some people are really good at picking the pictures and understanding the pictures. The creatives, they just look at the pictures and they understand, right? But they're not particularly good at following the process of taking trades and making good decisions. And the other half, the smarter half, are really good at the processes, making good decisions, really struggle to read the chart and often get very wound up in the last three bars. They get they blow right into the detail stuff. They never get the overview. They never really understand trend. And one of the things with trading is if you can look at who you are, and I always say this, if you can work on the part that's not the natural part to you, you can make great progress, because trading is the ability, in my view, to look at a picture, which takes the creative side of your brain, whatever side that is, and then act logically. And that's a really unusual thing for humans to do. We either tend to be creative or logical. And I think it's the reason that we call trading simple, not easy. It actually is quite simple. It's just that we're not really well wired for the two skills together that make it succeed. So I find it really interesting, the stuff about the detail for you. And I remember in the days back in the UK when we were sort of teaching a large group of people that one of the most common things is for very intelligent people to turn up and be sure they're going to succeed at this, and they don't always do that. It is a bit different, and it's Chris was just saying you got to learn how the masses think and go with the flow, and I think to some degree you do. And look, there's different ways people look at this stuff, but you've got to find a balanced way, in my view, to look at it to really succeed in the market. So you're a trend trader. What time frame do you like to trade?
So my favorite time frame, I would say, is the 4 hourly. To be honest, Paul, I have dabbled with prioritizing various different timeframes at various different points in my life. So when I very first started, it was the hourly timeframe that really I focused on for quite a long time. I would say the 4 hourly has been pretty consistent. The reason I love trading the 4 hourly timeframe is because you don't have to spend all day looking at your charts. I tend to just set an alarm on my phone to go off every 4 hours at 5 minutes before the close of the bar, just to remind me, right, now is the time to go up and look and see whether that trade setup I was anticipating has set up or not, and do I need to place the trade or not. And it literally takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum of being up at my computer every 4 hours to see whether the trade is available or not. But I have to say, I do trade the daily time frame. I feel with the daily time frame, there's almost not really any excuse not to trade it, because it's so non-time consuming. It doesn't take a lot of time at all. And if you learn how to read the markets, learn how to analyze the markets, then the daily time frame is a great place, even if you haven't got time during the day, You just need 10 minutes at the end of the day or at the very beginning of the day to do that. So I always trade the daily time frame. But the best thing about being a trend trader, Paul, and especially with the strategy that I trade, it's applicable on any time frame. So it really depends. It depends partly on your personality, and it depends partly on what time you have available to you during the day, what your other commitments are. There will always be a time frame that works better for some people and not for others, and vice versa. So it's about fitting that to your personality. I just find the 4 hourly is something that no matter what, I can find the time for, because, you know, as we discussed earlier, I've got a lot of hobbies. So before Max arriving on the scene, I still, you know, didn't particularly like or want to spend all day at my computer trading. It was important for me to be able to have a lot of free time to do my hobbies, to travel, all of those kinds of things, visit friends and family, without trading becoming kind of all consuming. So the 4 hourly, I just think, and the daily are really good for doing that. At the same time, the lower time frames do offer really great reward to risk.
Yes, they
So
do, don't they?
I
It's tempting,
do
isn't it?
do still trade those as well.
Yep, look, it's one of those things, isn't it, where if you can find the right time when the market's moving, or those short time frames are great fun, and you can spend a lot of time waiting for those opportunities. But when they do come along, they are pretty useful. So one of the questions we've said is, are you a day trader? And the answer to that clearly is that you are a day trader. I'm going to remind people, if you're on Facebook or YouTube and you want to ask us a question, put it in the comments box on those things, and Mai will send it through to us in the Zoom, and we will get that question answered for you. If you're in the Zoom, if you have any questions for Chloe, throw them in the box and let them go. Got about 10 minutes to go with Chloe, and we will do a prize draw to finish up the session as always. Got a couple of things to talk about towards the end of the show as well. I do want to thank all those guys who gave us those great reviews on Trustpilot this week. It's nice to be on there, and appreciate those people who gave us the 4 and the 5 star reviews this week. Really thank you guys for doing that. We'll have a few little bonuses for you along the way, I think. So we did a course in London. I came over, we did a course in London. That was a small course. On that course, we met a guy who was a sort of builder type dude called Simon. He's going okay, right?
Oh, Simon, I love Simon. Yeah, he's going really well.
Had a quick chat with him last night. Still heavily into the crypto, up just over 2.2 million US in the last 5 months at the moment, continuing to smash it, I guess, on the crypto, and working on a little crypto strategy he might share with a few of us at some stage. So it's really nice. And when I interviewed him on the show literally a month ago, he was up 1 point something million a year ago, a month ago, when I spoke to him. One of the things I remember, Chloe, is that he spent a lot of time with you early. And one of the things I really like about Simon is really, with due respect to others who struggle a bit more, most things he's set his mind to with us, he's managed to do. He started off with the income creator. He was profitable. He took on my strategy. He talked about that in the interview last time, instead of making 4 or 5% a month trading my strategy. He goes into crypto, picks up Sukri stuff. He's profitable at that. What was the basis you taught him to give him those skills to move around between different markets and to be successful?
So for starters, I mean, it really was the very basics. He came from not knowing what a price bar was and a price chart or anything here. So it really was the very basics. And when you throw yourself in the deep end like that, from being a complete beginner, knowing nothing about the markets, it can be very, very overwhelming. And I think he was very, very overwhelmed. So it was about breaking things down very, very simply, offering him support, encouragement, one-on-one time, where I would just go through and explain. You know, we were in email contact, so he would literally be looking at trades and looking at charts and send me questions. Am I seeing this right? You know, he'd send me screenshots. Screenshots are so valuable. If you're trying to learn to trade and you've got a question to ask from your mentor or your coach, screenshots are so valuable, because it means we can see what you're seeing and help you out with it. So a lot of screenshots he sent me where I gave him feedback on. A lot of trades, he'd said, oh, I took this trade and it didn't work out right, but I don't know whether I did it right or not, that kind of thing. So it's really helping him through the very basics. And from that point on, building confidence in the strategy, as he did become better and better at the strategy, just building his confidence. And he used to listen without fail to, first of all, I used to do a show called Trading the Trend with Chloe, very imaginatively named.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he used to listen without fail to that show. Then when I moved on to doing the Income Creator Trader Talk Radio, he used to listen to that without fail. One of my most regular listeners, Simon was, and I think spending time with me, both face to face and virtually, trading the strategy, watching me trade the strategy, watching me explain what I was doing. He put in the time. And I put in the time as well. So that's how it all started.
Yeah, I remember in the early days. I remember in London, and I remember sort of lunchtime day two, and he and just feeling like he was, genuinely lost. And I look back on this, right? The guy, he's up, as I said, over $2 million US in the last few months. It's a lot of money, and he could easily have walked away early. And then a couple of years ago, Simon was involved in something which was a bit unsavory, where he got, on the wrong side of some bad people or a bad event, and he lost well over six figures on a bit of a con. And I think, and it hurt him. It was a time when I don't think he had the money to lose. And it's I remember when he spoke about it in Bali 2 years ago, thinking, I'm not sure we can get him through this. That I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get him back, having been through that. It was I remember probably the most emotional session in Bali I ever remember was him talking.
It brought tears to my eyes, that did.
Yeah, it was terrible and similar, really. But it really was a chance, at the end of the day, where we community showed its value, where we rallied around Simon, gave him some support. I happened to know someone who knew one of the parties involved, and get some support for him and get some pressure on the other end of it. And the rest of the team got around and gave him a little bit of support. And the reward sometimes for not quitting is a couple of $1 million. It's a pretty nice reward, isn't it?
It certainly is, and absolutely, Paul, as you say, that as a trader there are hurdles and obstacles to overcome, and the easiest thing to do is quit. But it's never the most profitable thing to do. So yeah, his resilience is admirable, but good on him, and I'm really flippin' glad he didn't quit.
Yeah, me too. And look, one of the things I remember about Simon, and I don't want to put this out as a role model thing because it's not for everybody, but I just remember in the time we were doing stuff where, well, literally, I just rang him up one day and said, look, Simon, Bali's a couple of weeks away. Do you want to come? And he's just like, yeah, I'll book a flight. I'll come tomorrow. He was a guy who his answer to everything was, yeah, I'll give it a try. Yeah, I'll give it a try. The crypto stuff's come up. Yeah, I'll give it a try. And that kind of attitude goes a long way. I remember the first time he ever did a video for us in Bali, he said, this isn't a plug. I don't do plugs. And since then, he's done half a dozen videos saying some pretty nice things about us. I've got a few questions in the questions box for you from Crystal. Chloe, are you trading crypto yet?
Am I trading crypto, sorry?
Yes.
No, I'm not actually. I'm not trading crypto. It is one of the things that I plan to get into now that I'm back to trading after my time off.
Chloe, which strategy has been your most profitable for you? Is it the 4-hour wave rider? And that's from Jura. Chloe's strategy is called the Income Creator. She's not particularly a wave rider trader as such.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Income Creator.
And what did you do? Look, always looking for good feedback, guys. Eddie so asked, what did you do when you encountered a series of losses? Always nice to bring to people, professional traders for free, Chloe. Really appreciate your time, you coming out and sharing this kind of stuff. The question is, what do you do when you encounter a series of losses? Every trader's been through it, and I think for every trader, there's that stage too where you have a few losses and you think, oh, it won't last much longer. You take a couple more trades and you're sure they're going to win, and they lose, and you think, oh, this isn't normal. This isn't quite what I expected. How do you deal with it?
Oof, it's quite a lengthy answer to that. I'll try and keep it brief. So every trader is going to encounter a series of losses at some point. It's not necessarily unusual or something wrong that's happened. I personally, because the way I trade is quite aggressive, I'm a trend trader, I'm looking for big moves, so I prefer high reward to risk trades, and I don't necessarily win all of them. I don't even necessarily win more than 50% of my trades, so I'm always going to have a series of losing trades. You have to know your strategy and have confidence in your strategy and know what is normal or not for that strategy. The only way you can do that is spend time looking at the charts, backtesting, etc., etc. Having said that, if you do have a series of losing trades that is more than what you would expect from your strategy, then for me, I take a step back and I have a look at what I'm doing wrong, if there is anything. Sometimes it might just be the markets, in which case I need to really question, should I be trading this market right now or not? Sometimes I might have done something wrong. Maybe I'm having a bad day and I didn't realize it and I've been making the wrong decisions. So it's important to go back and review that. If I do have a day where I lose, if I'm intraday trading on the 15-minute time frame and I lose, say, 6 trades in a row, then I will just close the computer down and walk away and start fresh. I could honestly go on for hours about trading psychology, Paul, and all of those kinds of things. It is really, really important to keep your trading psychology pot topped up, if you like. So if you're not in the right frame of mind, whether that's because of a series of losing trades or you're having a bad day for another reason, then just walk away, start afresh the next day. But make sure you do start fresh next day. Make sure you don't bring yesterday's bad trades into your head for starting fresh the next day. Start from zero, pretend your account balance is 0 as opposed to negative, and build on that.
Look,
I could go on forever, Paul, about
say,
trading
Chloe,
psychology.
it's one of those really big, wide questions. Good question, Eddie. But look, I think, cheers, you're welcome. Thank you from Eddie there. Chloe, that Chloe's a Jaguar. That's part of the trading personality stuff we did on the weekend, Chloe, about people looking for bigger reward to risk trading. Look, I do. We're going to run over the hour-long mark here, and I know you'll have someone looking after Max, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But I do want to ask you a couple of questions that we had as sort of headings for this session. So after the break with Max, have you found it hard to get back into trading?
Yes and no. Yes, in that, I mean, it really is hard to find the time. It really is hard to find the time, and I'm very, very lucky. I know we make our own luck. I am very lucky in that if I don't want to start trading again right now, I don't have to. There's no pressure on me to start trading now. I could have a year off, I could have 2 years off. It's not it's not a big deal that I need to start trading again now. So I think just not having any pressure on myself very much helps. But I feel very lucky that I have a profession where I can make an income with very little time input. Now, I'm not saying that if you want to be a trader, you don't have to put in time. You absolutely do. But over the last 11 years that I've been trading, I have put in time. And so I've got to the point where I don't need to put that time in every single day. I've got to the point where I can spend an hour a day, often less, sometimes just 10 minutes a day trading, making an income, and then spending the rest of the day with Max. So for me, it was important to come back, just because that was the whole reason I started trading in the first place, was so I could have an income and raise a family. So not having pressure makes it a lot easier. In terms of, is it difficult after having time off? It's kind of just like riding a bike, Paul. Once you know what you're doing, you can take time off and then come back to it later on. it's about getting the discipline right, making sure you do set aside time every day for it. Don't just kind of think, oh, I'll start trading again this month, and then get a bit too busy and end up doing other stuff. You do have to kind of be quite focused in the time that you do set it. It's very important for me because I do have Max. The most important thing in my entire life is spending good quality time with him. And if I'm going to do anything else, it has to be with purpose, and it has to be for a reason. I'm not just faffing about now when I'm staring at my screen. I used to do a lot of faffing about. So it is a bit like riding a bike. You know, I know my strategy back to front. I did something which you suggested to me, Paul, actually, which, I mean, I had it in the back of my mind that I needed to do, but it was you kind of suggesting and encouraging me to do it, which was do a proper review of the strategy that I'm trading, because, you know, I haven't looked at the markets really in 6 months. Things could change. You know, you've always got to keep up with the times that we're having in the market. So definitely after having time out, that is what has been essential for me to really review the strategy. I don't want to just jump in trading the same strategy, trading the same way, and suddenly have a shock with losing trades before I've even started. So it's important to make sure you've done your homework before jumping back in. But I wouldn't say it's difficult. Not difficult in terms of the action of trading. It's more difficult in terms of just finding the time, I think.
Let me ask you this one. I'm going to come back after the draw and ask a couple more, but let's ask this one before we go to the draw. If COVID allows, will you be back in Bali? I know you've got Max, and obviously you're married to Ben, whose career is pretty interesting. Are you going to be able to get back to Bali at some stage?
100%, definitely. I'm keeping all my fingers and toes crossed that the dates can work out with Ben's work and stuff like that. But 100% would not miss it for the world, as long as everything goes according to plan, I guess, with Max.
Got a message from Simon. Great to see you, Chloe.
Oh, Simon, hey.
And Tim saying that he thinks traveling is still necessary. Look, we're still aiming to do a live trading retreat in Bali late November is the goal. If we can't do it in Bali, we'll try and do it in Singapore. We're hoping that travel will be okay for then. If it's not, we'll do it online. I was amazed at how good an event it was online this year. We every year we have to make that event a little bit better, and we'll find a way to make it better online if that's what it needs to be. Personally, I've got to say, people say that different things are family, and nothing's family like your family. You know, family's family, and your kids and that kind of stuff. But after that, I miss the trading family, and I really look forward to getting back together with them around the world at some stage. Hopefully Bali. I like Bali, and doing some trading amongst doing some catching up and having a chat up and a beer. The plan is to try and do it. I think it's the 3rd week in November. It is in the calendar, but we'll get a lot closer before we start and fix that up. Often these things, my wife's doing an MBA, and I do my travel around the dates for that. So I think the 3rd week in November is my plan for Bali. But we'll get about 2 months out and firm that up. If that was what you remember when is the plan. Welcome back, Chloe. It's been a long while since I last heard from you. Nice to see you back from CH10. I'm going to get Mai to do a draw. We are going to give away. Look, I think one of the things, if you're coming back from a break, getting a cheat, getting a little bit of information where you don't have to go and find it for yourself is pretty important. And we've got the strategy bias group now where we have fundamentals, seasonals, and COT data summarized for people, currency by currency breakdowns for people. We're just tidying up now where you can click on the link. If you're in that group, by the way, and you want to have a look at those charts, go to the graduates here and go to members, and you'll have access to the COT and the seasonal charts in there. So go to the graduates here and go to members, click on that, and you'll be able to get in and see the COT and the seasonal charts if you're in the group. We're going to give away 1 month free to a winner of the strategy bias group. It's our favorite giveaway at the moment. Mai, can you do that for us, please? Look at that, plenty in the room for you today, Chloe. Let's see who our first winner is. People are checking if their names are on there. Let's spin the wheel of fortune, the wheel of names. Who's going to win a month of the strategy bias group? Is it going to be JS or is it going to be Lewis? Now, JS, you've got 15 seconds to confirm to me that you are in the room. JS, 15 seconds to confirm to me that you are in the room. If you don't come, you've got to be listening. If you don't come back and say that you're in the room, then we order a redraw. And I am going to...
Oh, it's brutal.
It is a bit brutal. Yeah, close. It used to be Crystal who missed by one every time. JS is not in the room, guys. So, let's go again, eh? Let's see. Lewis keeps missing by one. Crystal kept losing by one. Let's see if we can pick one of them out, eh? Let's do it. Let's spin the wheel of names and get somebody else. Crystal's keen for Crystal to win. It's a great prize. You can only take out the free offer on this once, by the way. It is. Oh, gosh, that is close. Is that Gary L? I don't think that's Gary Lafferty. Gary L, are you in the room, please? Oh, Gary Lim. That's a second win for you in the last 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it, Gary? Didn't you pick one of these up a few weeks ago? I thought you did pick one of these up a few weeks ago. Hey, guys, before I go back to Chloe, I'm thinking about running a competition on social media where we ask you to pick the price of, say, the euro by the end of the week. And each day you can have a guess and the winner wins a prize. How many of you would like to be part? And you've got to say why. Why you think it'll be up, down, wherever it is. Oh, cool, Gary. Sorry. Hey, thanks for your review the other day too, Gary. Much appreciated. Do you guys think it'd be nice to have something on the social media where you could pick a price, a price of a currency going forward? Do a little bit of talk about why and see if you are right. Yes, got a few yeses coming in. Cheers, Gary. Thanks for that. Anyone else keen on that? I'm thinking about running as a new competition. Let me know whether you guys think it's a good idea or not. Okay. Cheers, guys. Chloe, I'm keen to do some stuff that gets you guys a bit more interactive on the social media. It's nice that we pump out a lot of stuff and a lot of content. There's a lot of free stuff goes out of this organization these days. A lot of free trading knowledge. But I'd like to do some stuff that gets you guys a bit more involved and so a bit more interactive and picking the euro price, something that me and Jeff used to do when we did the slingshot together. We used to trade only the euro, and we were live in a show. I don't know where we were streaming it, to be honest. I can't remember. But we used to on Mondays both pick the price of the euro for the end of the week, and he will never tell you this, but you know I think I shaded him a little bit on picking the euro price over a period of time. I thought it was really good practice too. It's really interesting when you get it wrong as to why you get it wrong. So we may well bring that into social media in the next few days or weeks. Well, dear Chloe, one more question from me, then anything that comes in from the team, we're going to let you go. What are your goals for the next few months from a trading point of view?
From a trading point of view, I've still got some reviewing of the income creator strategy to do. So I'm literally going to strip it down to bare bones. I've got some really, really promising ideas on the trade management that hopefully we'll be able to update to. It's already a brilliant strategy, but I really feel like there are things that can be done to make it more profitable in a simple way. I think sometimes becoming an expert at something, you forget that when you're teaching someone a strategy from scratch, they don't necessarily see the charts in the way that you do, and they probably need a little bit more in terms of having things broken down in a simple way. So I am going to be doing that over the course. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm going to have a chat to Peter about it and get it all set up, back testing on my desktop PC, and literally test every parameter and just make sure it's the best it can possibly be. I think that's important moving forward, especially because I've had some time off from it. So that's up there in terms of priorities, is really getting that strategy nailed, tweaking the trade management and things like that. And apart from that, Paul, it is just getting back into trading. I'm going to get back into trading mainly 4-hourly timeframes at the moment, and just gradually kind of increasing. I'm starting off. I've started off with April just doing a couple of days a week, gradually increasing the hours. Just, no pressure. It's max changes every day. And I kind of thought, when I thought about having a family, I thought, well, this baby's just going to kind of sit in the corner of the room nice and quietly while I get on with my work, and that's not what happens, is it? So he changes every day. His needs are different every day. He cut his first 2 teeth, I think, 3 days ago. So that's another story again.
How old is he? Is he 6 months now?
He's 5.5. He'll be 6 months on the 17th, so almost 6 months. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And as I say, that's my number one priority. I feel blessed and fortunate to have a career and a profession that I can fit around him, and therefore that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to fit it around him,
Chloe, on that note, can you thank Ben or your mum? Is it Ben or your mum?
Ben.
Can you thank Ben very much for taking the time off?
Ben has kept him absolutely silent.
He's
probably down the bottom of the garden or something.
Okay, we've got no more questions for Chloe. I've got a couple more that I haven't asked Chloe, but we're going to, I'll keep it around an hour. We're getting to an hour 15. So thank you very much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Really looking forward to seeing you just re-emerge in some shows and doing some other things. I know we'll have you just slowly getting a bit more involved as you come back into it. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing the Income Creator pull the pieces and put back together. It has been a magic strategy, and it has been a starting point for a lot of really good traders. So I look forward to see what we can do with it, and certainly putting the Waverider to pieces and putting it back together. Lead us to some stuff that'll be interesting for trading across the board. And I hope it'll be the same for the Income Creator stuff. Thanks so much for your time. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks,
have a great week.
Me.
Remember, stay calm. Stay calm. Make good decisions. It'll sort itself out. For those of you that gave us a good review on Trustpilot, once again, thank you very much. It is new to us, and we really do appreciate the positive stuff. We hope you are getting great value. We hope you are learning a lot. We're doing our best to support you guys as best we can. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Cheers, guys.